These are the 10 most genius Adrian Lewis moments, the throws and wins and records that turned a Stoke-on-Trent lad into the youngest PDC world champion in history, and one of only 4 players ever to win back-to-back titles at Alexandra Palace. Every moment on this list is verified, every number is real, and the countdown runs from number 10 to the single throw that defined his entire career. 3 quick corrections before the countdown begins, because you'll see these repeated everywhere, and they are wrong. Adrian Lewis was born on the 21st of January 1985, not August, and the 2011 World Championship final was played on the 3rd of January 2011, not the 2nd. The Justicia incident darts fans sometimes attach to the 2016 Worlds happened in February 2018 at a UK Open qualifier, and there was no spitting involved, only a verbal confrontation followed by a push. With those cleared up, let's get into the list. Starting at number 10, the 5 televised 9-dart finishes. Most professionals retire without ever throwing a single perfect leg on television, and Adrian Lewis threw 5 of them. The first, on the 3rd of January 2011, we'll come back to at number 1. His second arrived at the 2011 European Championship semi-final against Raymond van Barneveld on the 31st of July, which was the first 9-darter ever thrown at the European Championship. Number 3 landed at the 2015 PDC World Championship, once again against Van Barneveld, inside a match that Lewis actually lost 3 sets to 4 despite the perfect leg. The fourth came on the 14th of April 2016 in Belfast, a Premier League leg against James Wade, and the fifth arrived almost exactly 1 year later on the 13th of April 2017 in Liverpool against Van Barneveld, yet again, inside a 7-4 win in which Lewis averaged 111.52. 3 of those 5 perfect legs came against the same opponent, which meant Van Barneveld must have dreaded the sight of him walking to the oche. At number 9 is the World Cup of Darts dynasty with Phil Taylor. Between 2012 and 2016, Lewis and Taylor collected 4 World Cup of Darts titles for England, beginning with a 4-3 sudden death win over Australia in 2012, followed by a 3-1 victory against Belgium in 2013. Then 3-2 results against Scotland in 2015 and the Netherlands in 2016. Their only blemish was the 2014 final, where Michael van Gerwen and Van Barneveld put them out. 4 titles in 5 years stands as the tournament record for any pairing, and this run was the most public expression of the mentor-protege relationship that ran through Lewis's entire career. Both men were Stoke-on-Trent born, long-term practice partners and team gold collectors on 4 separate occasions, with Taylor putting it on the record that he treated Adrian Lewis as if he were his own son. Number 8 belongs to the night of the 113.80 average. On the 5th of February 2015, opening night of the Premier League, Lewis faced Raymond van Barneveld and closed out a 7-1 victory while posting a 3-dart average of 113.80. That number is the highest televised average of his entire career and sits among the highest ever recorded in PDC television history. The cruel twist is that the tournament it arrived in was the one major that got away from him, with his best Premier League finish being runner-up to Gary Anderson back in 2011. Landing at number 7 is the 2013 Grand Slam of Darts semi-final. The match took place in Wolverhampton that November, ending in a 16-9 defeat to Phil Taylor, which on paper looks like a straightforward loss. The reality was something else entirely, because this was the highest quality televised darts match on record at that time. Lewis averaged 110.99, Taylor averaged 109.76, and their combined output ran to roughly 221 points per 3 darts across the whole match. They set a then PDC televised record with 32 combined 180s, 18 of them coming off Lewis's own throw. Sky Sports called it the highest quality encounter in the history of darts. And here's the thing about why it belongs on a genius moments list despite the loss. Lewis out-averaged the greatest player the sport has ever produced and still could not win, which tells you everything you need to know about where his ceiling actually sat. Number 6 is the 2013 European Championship, his 4th PDC major and the one almost nobody talks about. Lewis beat Simon Whitlock 11-6 in the II final, averaging over 100 in each of his last 4 matches and stringing together 63 consecutive legs across the run. He had been a runner-up at the European Championship twice before, losing the 2008 and 2011 finals to Phil Taylor, which made this title the one where he finally closed out a European crown on his own terms. It sits alongside the 2 World Championships and the UK Open as one of his 4 PDC majors, and the fact that it rarely gets mentioned today is exactly why it earns a spot on the countdown. At number 5 sits the 2014 UK Open demolition. The date was Sunday the 9th of March 2014. The venue was Butlins Resort in Minehead, and the format was a best of 21 legs for the Coral UK Open title. Lewis faced Terry Jenkins, and the final scoreline read 11 legs to 1, making it one of the most lopsided major finals in darts history. His tournament average in that final was 109.13, one of the highest UK Open final averages ever recorded, and the winner's cheque came to £50,000 out of a £250,000 prize pool. The route to the final included a recovery from 7-3 down to beat Ronnie Huybrechts 9-8 in the 4th round, followed by a 9-2 dismissal of Van Barneveld, a 10-3 win over Menchuk Suljovic, and a 10-6 result against Mervyn King. The UK Open would turn out to be his 4th and final PDC major title, which meant everything that came afterward: the Premier League 9-darters, the Auckland Darts Masters, the 2016 World's Final, arrived without another major trophy to add to the cabinet. Number 4 on the list is the 2012 back-to-back World Championship title. On the 2nd of January 2012, Lewis defeated Andy Hamilton 7-3 in an all-Stoke final that ran until 10 minutes before 1 in the morning, averaging 93.06 against Hamilton's 90.83, hitting 11 100 and 80s to 7 and landing 42% of his attempted doubles. What that scoreline hides is that Lewis came within a single double 12 of hitting a 9-darter in consecutive World Championship finals, missing the final dart but not the trophy. The result placed him inside a club so exclusive that the complete membership as of April 2026 runs to just 4 names. Phil Taylor, Adrian Lewis, Gary Anderson and Luke Littler are the only players to successfully defend the PDC World title, which means no Michael van Gerwen, no Peter Wright, no Luke Humphreys on that particular list. Climbing to number 3 is the James Wade comeback, which happened one day before that 2012 final. On the 1st of January 2012, Lewis trailed Wade 5-1 in the semi-final, and Wade was throwing for the match with a dart at double 18 to close it out. That dart missed, and what followed was the kind of run that gets replayed for years, because Lewis then won the final 10 legs of the entire match consecutively, including a 3-0 whitewash of the deciding set, and finished the whole thing off with a 161 checkout to book his place in the final. PDC voters named it the Televised Performance of the Year for 2012, and Lewis himself called it the best win of his career. Eric Bristow had reportedly told him beforehand that he had no chance, which Lewis later said flipped a switch inside him, and whatever flipped produced 10 legs of darts under the highest possible pressure from a player staring down a straight semi-final exit, ending with a 161 finish to win. That is not grit, that is genius. Number 2 is the 2011 World Championship title itself. Lewis walked into Alexandra Palace at Christmas 2010 as a debutant finalist who had never reached a World Championship final before, and he walked out on the 3rd of January 2011 as champion, beating Gary Anderson 7-5. His tournament average came to 97.35. His final average of 99.80 just edged Anderson's 99.41, and he hit 2180s to Anderson's 10 across the match. At the moment the trophy was his, Lewis was 25 years and 347 days old, the youngest PDC world champion in history, a record that stood for 14 years until Luke Littler broke it in 2025. The deeper distinction was that he became the 5th different PDC world champion ever, following Dennis Priestley, Phil Taylor, Keith Parr and Van Barneveld, and crucially the first PDC world champion who had never lifted a BDO world title first. The first pure PDC champion, a player built entirely by the new generation of the sport, which on its own would land him on any top 10 list of his own career. Yet here it sits at number 2. Number 1 is the 9-dart finish in that same 2011 World Championship final, which arrived in the 3rd leg of the first set while Lewis was leading 2 legs to nothing. The route ran through a 180, another 180, and then treble 20, treble 19, double 12 for the 141 finish, producing the first 9-darter ever thrown in a PDC World Championship final. It would not be repeated in a final until Michael Smith matched it 12 years later in 2023, which tells you everything about how long the benchmark held. Sid Waddell was on commentary that night, calling his last PDC World Championship before his death in August 2012. And Sky Sports' own retrospective described Waddell as left in awe of what he was witnessing. The bonus for the 9-darter came to £10,000, which landed on top of a winner's check worth £200,000. Here's the piece that gets forgotten. In the very next leg, Lewis posted a running 3-dart average of 134.38, while Anderson was still averaging over 107 himself, which meant Lewis did not hit a 9-darter in a quiet match against a fading opponent. He threw it against a man averaging 107 at the time, inside the final of the World Championship, and then kept his foot pressed to the floor. That is why it sits at number 1. That is why it is the defining moment of his career. And that is why, for darts fans, when you hear the words Adrian Lewis, this is the image that loads first. There's the full list. 5 televised 9-darters, 4 World Cups with Phil Taylor, a 113.80 average on a Premier League Thursday night, a European Championship won on a streak of 63 consecutive legs, a Grand Slam semi-final where he out-averaged Phil Taylor and still lost, a UK Open demolition at 109.13 average, a back-to-back world title, a comeback from 5-1 down, sealed with a 161 checkout, the crown itself at 25 years old, and sitting on top of all of it, 9 perfect darts in the final of the World Championship on Sid Waddell's last ever Worlds against Gary Anderson. Lewis's career tailed off after 2016, his tour card expired in 2024, he skipped Q School in January 2026, and he is now eyeing a return in 2027. These 10 moments, compressed into that 5-year window between 2011 and 2016, are the reason he remains in the conversation at all. For a player whose peak lasted half a decade, the peak itself ran higher than almost anyone else's, and on one night in January 2011, for the length of 9 perfect darts, it reached the highest anyone had ever thrown in the biggest match the sport has.